gaze upon Jesus the way she gazes at Jesus. You say, well, that's kind of creepy. That's Orthodox Christianity. That is not New Age. That's Orthodox. That's Orthodox and Catholic, which is funny because they don't get along very well either. But the idea wasn't, we believe in the resurrection. No. The ancients didn't pray it that way. They prayed it every day. We behold your resurrection. Why? Because John 21. Because that was actually happening. Because they were actually anticipating that Jesus might just appear. Right like that. Dispensationalism has done the same for Christianity, and cessationism has done the same for Christianity as the Enlightenment did. It's robbed us of our imagination. It's made us like atheists as Christians, that the baby is kicking us and we're like, well, just won't believe it till I see it. And so I just encourage you. Don't wait for the veil to be lifted and for the reality of God's kingdom on earth to come to your eyes and your senses. Begin to live out what Christians were meant to live out. Begin to say, Jesus just touched you. Jesus is right here with you. When we lost a baby at 5 months, I never experienced that before. So all my friends that lost babies like that, it was very difficult when I had to go back and apologize to all of them how I had been so non-caring to them. We lost a baby at 5 months. I remember it is very I never even knew this, but we did it at home because Rachel didn't want to do it at the hospital. And you lose a baby at 5 months and the baby comes out. And then you're sitting there at the toilet and one of you has to do it. I don't mean to be rude, but that happens. And one of you has to. And some people have to go through this 4 or 5 times. Some people lay a baby down at 8 years old. Or some people, you know what I mean? That kind of like. And I remember this friend of mine saying to me, why don't you just. I said, what are we going to do with our children? They've all been to the ultrasounds. Rachel's never had any pregnancy issues. This was to be our 4th child. What are we going to do? And this friend of mine said, oh, well, you just tell them to close their eyes and see Jesus with their heart. And they'll see the baby. Oh, that is so ridiculous. Right, you know? He said, Jason, you got to stop. If you can't see Jesus, stop looking with your eyes. My wife is bawling her eyes out. Bawling her eyes out, guys. And I'm sitting next to her trying to fix it with my mind. And my friend says, why don't you just tell her to close her eyes and see Jesus with her heart? In one moment, Jesus comes to my wife. She closes her eyes and she sees Jesus almost instantaneously carrying that child. And then my friend says, and then tell her, just say, Rachel, you just say to Jesus whatever you want to say to Jesus. And Rachel said, this was before we knew the baby was dead, but she hadn't passed the baby yet. And she just said to her, a silent prayer. She didn't even say what she said to the Lord. She just said to the Lord, Lord, if this is real, and it's not just my imagination, see how we think? Then help me pass this baby quickly. And within a moment, she gets up from the couch. And I haven't known this prayer. She told me this later. She gets up from the couch, and immediately she passes the baby. Done. She comes back. She's almost got a smile on her face. She's like, that's so wild. I just asked the Lord, and the Lord just did this. And the doctor had said it might take 24 to 48 hours. And There'd be a lot of pain. I don't even have any pain. I just asked Jesus. So then that's what faith does. Faith builds hope, and then hope gives you another measure of faith. So then I said, oh, okay. All right, this is working. Well, that's a mistake right there. But, okay. Oh, this is working. So then I say, well, then let's try it with the kids. So when Emma and Samuel get home, Rachel's crying, I'm crying. What do we do? Well, Emma comes up. She knows something's wrong because that's just the way Emma is. And then we have to tell her. And then she starts crying. And then I said, no, let's sit down. And this is exciting because this is the first person in our immediate family that we're going to see when the veil is torn and we see on the other side, when that veil is lifted, we're going to see on the other side, we're going to see this baby on the other side. It's the first person we're going to see. This is exciting. And well, she wasn't buying any of that. She says, Daddy, this is not exciting. And I said, well, why don't you close your eyes and just imagine if you can see Jesus with the baby. My daughter closes her eyes. And she imagines if she can see the baby. Oh, I see him, she says. He's got cute little clothes on. Jesus has them all in cute little clothes. I said, isn't that neat, Emma? Interestingly, all the children and me and my wife all saw the child. So it comes to Samuel, my 9-year-old, and things are going well. So I said, hey, Sam, you want to try it? Just close your eyes. You could see the baby and give the baby to Jesus. Jesus is going to take care of this baby now. Obviously, Jesus has lots of good things to do with this baby. You want to close your eyes, Sam? Samuel closes his eyes. So, Sam, do you see Jesus with the baby? Sam says, nope. I said, all right, well, look a little harder, Sam. Dad, this is ridiculous. All I see when I close my eyes is darkness. And I manipulated that little kid to try to see Jesus. And he was not having it. And he opens his eyes, and I said, well, I really believe Jesus is here. Is there anything you'd like to say to Jesus, Samuel? And Samuel screams out at the top of his lungs, yeah! Give us the baby back! And then he runs through his room and he starts crying. And I hear him crying on his bed. So I call my friend up, and I'm frustrated. Brad, I said, what are we going to do? I mean, my son now, he's crying on his bed, and I just brought him through this whole thing to see Jesus. He doesn't see Jesus. He's screaming, give us the baby back. He says, oh, Jay. In history, all the greatest mystics only saw darkness when they closed their eyes. Didn't you know that? What? Oh, yeah. All of them. You ever heard the latest atheists coming against Mother Teresa? What are they saying about Mother Teresa? That she never experienced the manifest presence of God her entire life. Have you ever heard the accounts of people while they were being held by her, while they were dying? Seeing Jesus, experiencing Jesus. But she never experienced Jesus her entire life in a manifest way. That's not just her. It's the experience of countless fathers and mothers in the faith throughout all time. A great majority of the great mystics never saw Jesus when they closed their eyes. So he says that to me. He says, Jason, all the great mystics saw dark when they closed their eyes. Don't worry about it. You just walk in there and sit in the darkness with them. And then I sat down next to him and we just cried together.